Max, shut up. YouTube, my family, my people, know it alls. What's going on? Welcome into Mose Knows. We got to recap and review week 3. Listen, in my mind, the NFL still hasn't calibrated itself. I mean, I love it. It makes for great content. There's parity all over the league, but it ain't happening how it's supposed to happen for a lot of these teams in the NFL. But again, this is great for content. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Sorry, Mose couldn't be here, but he doing the Mrs. Mosley thing right now. You know, they're out doing. They're enjoying Valentine's Day is what I was trying to say.
I got you.
Y'all the worst.
You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. Mose know it all. Mose know it all. I guarantee real taste, ain't no faking that at all. If you don't know, you gon' know. Mose knows, tune into the show. Not a game, nitty gritty, ready go committee. Mose should be the CEO. Too solid, too real, too 100. I'ma keep it real when you don't. Just that real gold talk. 24 karat words. San Francisco 49er fam. Realest squad on the earth. The 5 God, number 5, taking us to 6. Young killer Trey Lance. New era, new season. Mose got you covered. Go ahead and subscribe. 2022 this year. Got a whole nother vibe. Mose know it all. Mose know it all. Mose know it all. Tune in for the vibe. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. Mose knows.
Yo, we back at it. About to recap week 3. Thank you so much for everybody that's tuning in right now. Listen, we're going to go through some particulars, then we're going to get right to it. You're already here at the YouTube channel, YouTube.com/Mose Knows. That's where you can find me. That's where all the content is dropping. If you're not a subscriber, whether you're watching this live or you're catching the playback, hit that subscribe button. Become a part of the Mose Knows fam. You can follow me on IG and Twitter, what.mose.knows. You can find me on those outlets. If you don't like using social media and you want to send me an email directly, you want to ask me a question about your team, ask me a question about fantasy football. If you got some content ideas, love to hear it all. Shoot me an email, what.mose.knows@gmail.com. And you can follow me on TikTok, Mose_knows. I'm doing TikTok videos every week. I'm giving you my weekly picks for each week. Not going to sit here and waste too much time on that because that's not going how I want it to go. But I'm giving you picks every week, no matter how good and bad they are. Let's jump into this comment section. We got people who chimed in early. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We got Raphael 5629ers. He said, "What's up, Mose?" And everyone giving everybody a shout out into the chat. He says, "Hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Just bing. Just hit the like button. Appreciate you, brother." We got Chanel in the building. My man, what's good? My man. Fernando, 49ers throwback. What's good? A new name. Now, listen, some people pronounce it differently. I don't want to butcher names. Some people say Talib. Some people say Talib. I mean, I'm from Philly. I'm from the hood. I know a lot of Talib. However you pronounce it, you let me know so that I can say it right. Thank you so much for tuning in and jumping in the chat with everybody here. We got my man Jerome Davis. All right, fam, it was a battle of the defenses last week. Let's open up the offense. Listen, Jerome, we're going to get there. We're going to get there, brother. We gonna get there. All right. We gonna get there. Wrong. I don't think I have a graphic for the quick hitters. So we're just gonna jump right in. Week 3, we're gonna start with the Thursday night matchup. We're gonna give you some quick hitters, and then we got my top 5 of the week that I want to touch on. So quickly, the Browns take care of the Steelers 29-17 on the Thursday night matchup. I think what we know from this matchup is Steelers are middle of the road team. I understand what Mike Tomlin was trying to do earlier in the season with the Black Air Force Ones, trying to instill that mentality in his team. But when you have mediocre quarterback play and you lose your best player on your team in TJ Watt's injury, it's kind of tough, especially against division opponents on the road. Jacoby Brissett was efficient, 21 of 31, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt got the running game going, 35 carries between the two of them for 160 yards and a touchdown. That's going to help you win the game all the time. More on running the ball in a minute. Jerome, I know what you're talking about. So, yeah, I think a solid game between division opponents, but Cleveland was able to pull that one out. Moving on, Chicago Bears, Houston Texans. Listen, not trying to disrespect anybody, but I don't think – I mean, this game was a little bit more entertaining than what we thought it might be, it being 23-20. But, again, really nothing spectacular. Justin Fields, 8 of 17, 106 yards, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And y'all really wanted to tell me that this guy is better than Trey Lance. Now, maybe in different scenarios, maybe you take those two and you switch them. You know, maybe instead we draft Justin Fields at 3 instead of Trey Lance. Maybe he's obviously in a different scheme with a different coach, with better players around him. He could be better. But this just shows lack of trust. Where on the other side of him, Davis Mills, 20 of 32, 245 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. So four turnovers between both of these quarterbacks, or 4 interceptions at least. I don't know if they had any. Fields had a fumble. He fumbled twice. He recovered 1, and then he got a recovery from somebody else. So no fumbles from Davis Mills. So, I mean, 2 middle of the road teams. The Bears do have a winning record at 2-1. I don't think that's something that they're going to sustain throughout the season, especially playing like this. They're not going to be able to continue to win games if Justin Fields is only going 8 for 17 for 106 yards. Granted, they were able to run the ball very, very effectively. 40 total carries between, all the running backs, 2 from a wide receiver, 8 from Justin Fields. So combined 40 carries, 281 yards, 2 touchdowns. Khalil Herbert, breakout game, 20 carries, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. But they're not going to be able to sustain. Their defense is good, not great. And they're not going to be able to win games like that. So Fields got to step it up. That's what I know. Justin Fields got to step his game up. Quickly, Raiders and Titans. I could have had this game in my top 5. Tennessee had a solid first half. That's where they put up all their points. Raiders were able to shut them down in the second half, but weren't able to score enough points. Got into the end zone, had the chance to tie it up with a 2-point conversion. They were not successful. Really, really bad start for the Raiders. And let me double check their schedule. I know it's supposed to be quick. Okay, they did play the chart. They still got to play Denver, which is a division opponent. And at some point, Denver is going to find a way to click. More on them in a minute. They got to play the Chargers again, and they still haven't played the Chiefs yet. They got to play the Chiefs twice. So not a good start. Again, it's only 3 weeks in. We're still very, very early, but not a good start for the Raiders at all. What I know about this team is I don't know what's going on. They have all the pieces. They have a pretty decent quarterback in Derek Carr. They have great weapons around him, solid running backs. They have a top 5 tight end in Darren Waller. I know they were missing Hunter Renfrow this game, but you still have Devontae Adams on the field. You know, that tandem, that Derek Carr, Devontae Adams connection that I thought was going to be so explosive because of their chemistry and friendship off the field and what they were able to produce in college hasn't been able to be as explosive and dynamic as we thought it would be to help this offense out. I mean, Matt Collins is the one that went on for 8 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown. And I think that's because a lot of coverages are going to be drawn to Devontae Adams. Teams are going to focus on Adams and Waller, and you have to beat them somewhere else. So it's just not as effective as I thought it would be. Defensively, they're still trying to figure out their identity. They have some solid pieces. I love Max Crosby. They're still trying to figure some things out on the defensive side of the ball. So what I know from this matchup is I don't know what's going on with the Raiders. Tennessee also, I think they're limited by their quarterback play. I think Ryan Tannehill, the fire that I thought we would see from him is not the fire that I'm seeing. You know, the way I thought he would come out and play football with Malik Willis being drafted and him as the backup quarterback. You know, he was frustrated and he was angry when he was drafted, and I thought that would translate into his play. And he just hasn't elevated his game the way I thought he would. So yeah, I'm still waiting to see something special out of this Tennessee Titans team that for the past few years have been one of the dominant teams in the AFC. And it's only 3 games in, but I'm ready to say Traylon Burks is not it. And that's just what it is. They should have kept AJ Brown. Moving on. Ravens, Patriots. Ravens 36. Oh, I'm supposed to be doing my tickers. I'm not even paying attention. I'm just going. I missed a couple. Don't worry about it. Ravens 37, Patriots 26. Lamar Jackson is on an MVP run this early. 4 more touchdowns for him in the books. Another 100-yard game. I think they said stat-wise, he's the first player in NFL history to have back-to-back games of over 100 yards passing and over 100 yards rushing. First player in NFL history to have back-to-back games with those numbers, which seemed for me, it seemed a little far-fetched. I mean, we Michael Vick in this league. You know, we've had other, dynamic, runners of the football from the quarterback position, but they said he is the first player in NFL history to have back-to-back games of more than 100 yards passing and more than 100 yards rushing. He's got his team looking good. Unfortunately, on the other side, the Patriots and their quarterback position not looking that good. Mac Jones with a severe ankle injury. They labeled it a high ankle sprain, but possibly a really, really bad one that could possibly require surgery. He's getting second opinions to see if he can figure out a way to not have surgery, which may likely end his season or push his return until December, more likely December, which their season might be over by then at that point if he's not able to go. So he's trying to find some outside opinions, but I don't think this is going to be a good season for the Patriots. He was already struggling as is. He threw for 321 yards in this game, but he was trailing most of it. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The Patriots just aren't a good team this year. That's what I know from watching it. Bengals at Jets. Bengals finally get one in the win column, beating the Jets 27-12. That doesn't say much about your team or your organization. Joe Burrow was able to have a relatively clean game, 275 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Joe Flacco, on the other hand, could not match his magic from a week prior, throwing 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. I want to see the Bengals get Joe Mixon involved more in the running game. Now, I'm sure the Jets team keyed in on him, but 12 carries for 24 yards. That's not like Joe Mixon. I want to see more production from him. The wide receivers are doing their thing. Boyd, Higgins, Chase. I feel like the Bengals will get it on track sooner or later. And this may have been just the game that they needed to kind of just settle things down, figure out a rhythm, get a W in the win column, and now we can move forward and try to find some ways to stack some wins together. Eagles and Commanders 24-8. I heard a good story. I don't know how true it is, but apparently Nick Sirianni showed his Eagles team the clip of Kobe Bryant, rest in peace to Bean, about what it takes to be a competitor. I think there's a clip about the new Netflix series that's coming out, where Kobe was talking about playing against one of his really, really good friends in Pau Gasol. And despite their friendship, Kobe still had a win at all costs mentality. When we're on that court, you are my opponent, and it is my job to win and to beat you and to do whatever it takes. And Nick Sirianni showed that video to kind of instill that attitude in his team. And it's not ironic that the score ended 24-8. So I thought that was a cool story that somebody correlated him showing that video, and then the game ends in this type of score. There's this thing called I don't think that's a coincidence. You know, I don't think that's a coincidence. I'll just leave it at that. But this Philadelphia Eagles team, man, what I know is this team is legitimate. Like legitimate. Jalen Hurts is legit. He has weapons now. They're utilizing the weapons. 1 week it may be A.J. Brown that goes off. This week is Devontae Smith, 8 catches, 169 yards, and a touchdown. I had Devontae Smith on I had him on the bench. I have A.J. Brown, so I started A.J. Brown, but I also had Devontae Smith, and I had him on the bench. So it puts me in a really weird predicament that I have to start both of them, because both of them could go off. One of them could go off, but like I had Devontae on my bench, and I still won the game though. This not fantasy. That show is on Thursday. We'll talk about that then. But this Eagles team is legit. Offense, defense, special teams. And I hate saying it. I tell y'all that every week. I hate saying that because I live around the Philadelphia area. I'm surrounded by Eagles fans everywhere I go. I have family members that are Eagles fans. Them being 3-0 right now is absolutely the worst thing for me right now, because they're excited. They talking trash. They already claiming the NFC. They talking about Super Bowl. They talking about being number 1 ranked, first round bye, NFC championship coming through Philly. We only 3 weeks in, y'all. So I hate to say it, but I have to, because this is what this channel is about. This is not about my Niners. This is about all the teams. And this Philadelphia Eagles team is a really, really good team. Will they hit some bumps in the road? Absolutely. Once they get to the middle of the season, will they wear out? Possibly. Depending on where their bye week is, that could throw some wrinkles in the system. But they're getting solid play from their quarterback. They're getting solid play from the weapons on the outside. And the defense is playing absolutely like lights out. I mean, they held this team to 8 points, and they got those somewhere mid to late fourth quarter. So for 3.5 quarters, this Washington team couldn't do a thing. Excited about the Eagles. I can't believe I said that, but I did say it. Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints. Panthers win this game 22-14. What we know about this game, a division matchup, so it's always going to be tough. There's always going to be battles in those interdivision matchups. The Saints are very up and down, but so are the Panthers. And I feel like this game could have went either way. Saints really couldn't get going until the fourth quarter. By that time, it was too late. They allowed some big plays to some unsuspecting people. A big play to Laviska Shenault that he took to the house for a touchdown. Some other, it looked like there were some defensive scores. Yes, defensive score from Marquise Haynes here. So Carolina is not going to wow you with the amount of points they put on the board. I think they had to find a way to get this win. I know a lot of fans in that Carolina fan base were calling for Matt Rule's job. They want him out of there. They want him gone. He's wasting good years of Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore and some of those pieces on the defense. I think he's still trying to figure things out. Again, you got a brand new quarterback. You're trying to upgrade the quarterback position from Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield. Uh, Baker's coming into a new system, learning new lingo, trying to get familiarity with his wide receivers. For Baker Mayfield, that makes sense. That reason, and I put reason in quotations, we'll touch on that later. That reason makes sense. He's completely new to this system, completely new to this coaching staff. He was throwing to Julio Jones. I mean, not Julio Jones, my bad. He was throwing to Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like he was and David Njoku, like Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb out of the back. He was throwing to that group. Now he's coming to a whole new system, whole new coaches, whole new lingo and verbiage in the playbook. And now he has new weapons. He has Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Laviska Shenault, Robbie Anderson. He has to learn all the nuances of this offense, and he has to learn his new guys. Yeah, he was there, for some part of the offseason and training camp and the preseason, but that takes time. So will they be okay? I think they have a legitimate shot of being a middle of the pack team, middle of the road team. And when you can, beat up on or find a way to get a win on a Saints team that also themselves aren't clicking, it's a great way to get your first win against a division opponent. Another division matchup, Rams versus the Cardinals. At first, I thought this game was going to get a little bit out of hand. I feel like the Rams kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. They win this game against their division rival, the Cardinals, 20-12. Kyler throwing the ball over the field, but he couldn't get it in the end zone. Same thing with Matt Stafford. There were no passing touchdowns in this matchup, and that's something that you look at these two teams and these two quarterbacks and say, wow, these two quarterbacks, the weapons that you have, there were no passing touchdowns in this game, and there were not. The Rams had 2 rushing touchdowns, one by Cam Akers, one by Cooper Kupp. And the Cardinals were unfortunately only able to collect field goals, and that's not going to get it done versus the defending champs. It's not going to get it done versus a division opponent. So Cardinals should be sitting at 0-3. Luckily for them, they faced a Raiders team that's still trying to figure themselves out with a new coaching staff, and they got 1 on the board. But what we do know is this Cardinals team, even with all the pieces that they have, to me, it's not very good. And this Rams team, while they are the defending champions, they have some flaws and some holes too. And they haven't quite hit their stride yet this season. So we'll have to see how fast it takes them to kind of get into that midseason form. Or will they even be able to, because they're still riding on the high from winning the Super Bowl. Falcons, Seahawks, 27-23. This was actually a pretty entertaining game. Geno Smith throwing for 325 yards. Unfortunately, his team as a whole just is not good enough. The Seahawks on defense are struggling. And even with being able to throw for 325 yards, they just weren't able to punch it in. The running backs were mediocre. They were able to run for over 100 yards, but nothing to really write about or, take to the bank. Cordell Patterson was able to run all over them, 17 carries, 141 yards, and a touchdown. Again, like the Bears, Texans, these are 2 bottom-tier teams in the NFL. When they go against each other, that could lead to entertaining matchups, but I don't foresee any of these teams making a real push in their division in the NFC. Broncos 11, 49ers 10. I think I've talked about this enough. Jimmy Garoppolo was not good. I don't care if he had 211 yards. I don't care if he had a touchdown. He was not good. Unfortunately for us, I mean, I wish I could say it was fortunate. Russell Wilson was worse. 184 yards for Russell Wilson, 0 touchdowns. But he found a way to get it done. He found a way to put his team in position to get a game-winning touchdown. I mean, Jimmy stepped out of the back of the end zone. I mean, you have to know that you're pinned deep in your own territory. You have to know that you're snapping the ball on the one. You have to know where you are. Broncos are 2-1, but they are not a good 2-1. Hope maybe they can find their stride again. Like I talked about some other teams, maybe they can find their stride to get new head coach, new quarterback, new system. Got to get familiar. Defense helped them out in this one. But I think in this game, I've said this before, the 49ers defense played lights out football. The Denver Broncos got help by a quarterback who is not good. Denver got bailed out by a head coach who stopped running the ball when his philosophy is to run the ball 25, 30, 35, 40 times a game. You stop at 19. And one of those was Jimmy Garoppolo for 0 yards. So I don't count that. I hope that's not the one that was the safety. They counted that as a rush because whatever. I think it was, I heard, shout out to my bro Breezy. I think he quoted Eric Davis. It was either Breezy or somebody else that quoted Eric Davis and said the 49ers are a great roster, but a bad team. And it's only one reason why this team is not a good team. Say what you want, hindsight is 2020. This team should be 3-0. At minimum 2-1. If you want to say that on the road in Chicago, the weather, the rain had a major factor, I would agree with you because I was there. I left soaked. 2-1, but there's no possible way that our defense plays that good. That good. No possible way our team plays that good. Our defense shuts them out for 55 minutes, and we only can score 10 points on offense. I'm done with that. I can't talk about it anymore. Cowboys at Giants. This was also a pretty entertaining game on Monday night. I had picked the Giants to win this one. I thought they had an opportunity. Dallas just stepped on the gas and applied pressure, especially in the third and fourth quarter, to squeak out this win. Defense kind of stepped up a little bit. Pass rush was able to get to Daniel Jones for 5 sacks, 27 yards. The Giants defense was not able to get to Cooper Rush. Middle of the pack game, but it was clean game. 21 of 31, 215, and a touchdown. Tony Pollard added 100 yards rushing. Zeke followed that up with 73. So Dallas was able to run the ball effectively. Cooper Rush was able to, play solid game manager style type football and help Dallas get a win. Dallas is 2-1. I can't wait to see how Dallas plays Philly. And a lot of people, especially on the Cowboys side, are going to make excuses that Dak isn't there. But I think it doesn't matter whether it's Dak or Cooper Rush. I think this Philly team is applying pressure, especially in this division. For me, it's going to be a good matchup to see how those two teams, who seemingly right now are the top of the NFC East, do battle. Okay, those are the quick hitters. I try to make them as quick as I possibly can, but y'all know once I start talking football, I can get to it. So let's get to these chats. I know we got some people in here. Fernando, for that, Jimmy sucks. Yes, he does. Lake City Fresh, my brother, Mose the GOAT. What's good, family? I am chilling, man. I don't know if you was in here earlier, but I had the intro rocking and rolling. I appreciate you for that, man. You already know how I'm coming with the love for that. It's funny, Jimmy makes a ton of excuses and dumb decisions. Listen, we could talk about Jimmy all day. Did you see the video when Jimmy says these plays suck? Coach, do something. I did see that video. And I was saying earlier, shout out to my brother Breezy on the the Wayne Breezy show earlier this afternoon. I like that energy from Jimmy. I like him saying, "Hey, yo, man, these plays are terrible, dog. Like, what are you calling right now?" But that would make more sense if I didn't see a video where those same play calls that he was saying sucked had people wide open. It would make more sense if I didn't see on the telecast Debo Samuel wide open with his hand like this running down the field, and you looked his way and then you looked away from him. Just throw it out there, let him get it. On that, and that was on to the right side. Then you throw a pass to Debo on the left side, which Kyle probably called the same or similar. No, it wasn't the same play. Because on that play where he looked at him and didn't throw it, I think it was trips right. On this play, Debo ran a wheel out of the backfield and like absolutely beat Josie Jewell. And you underthrow it. So he has to turn around and come back and find the ball. And then he makes the catch, but then he gets tackled. Instead of putting it out in front of Debo, letting him use his speed to go get it. And once he catches it, he's going for a touchdown because Josie Jewell's not catching him. And the safety rotated to the other side to cover whatever was going on over there. So Kyle is drawing and scheming up wide receivers to be open. His route concepts are working. James, you just not hitting them. So you saying this play suck, but when they work, you're not executing them properly anyway. So I think for me in the play calling aspect as it comes to Kyle Shanahan, it's running the football. Why go away from running the football? Jeff Wilson had 12 carries for 75 yards. Why go away from that? You keep rookie Jordan Mason on a 53-man roster saying that he did everything that he needed to do to make this team, yet you only give him one carry. At one point, you kept 5 running backs on the 53-man roster, which signified to us, based off of what everything Kyle said in the offseason, that he was going to run the football. They wanted to run the football. So run the football. If that's your own formula, you try to ingrain it in us every week that you try to run the ball at minimum of 25 times. But if you can hit 30, if you can hit 40, that means you're doing something right. You had an opportunity because this Broncos team was not putting up points. You only really have to pass if you're down 2 scores, 3 scores. You going into the fourth quarter down 21. That's why you saw Tua throwing the rock all over the field, because they have to come back and come back quickly. You still had an opportunity to run the football because Denver wasn't doing nothing. I mean, listen, y'all gonna have me talk about this, but I'm only supposed to be here for an hour. Mrs. gonna get mad because I told her I'm gonna be on from 7 to 8. Then I'm gonna come downstairs and you got me for the rest of the night. Y'all gonna have me talking all night about, come on, y'all. He said he sucks. Listen, I'm with you. Is our O-line going to come together? Our QB is good. Our QB is as good as his offensive line. I don't know, Jerome. The offensive line is going to need to come together, because if they don't and they get worse, then yes, I agree with you. Jimmy is going to get worse. If they fall apart, if they crumble, then it's a bad day. It's going to be really bad. Talib says, would you rather have Tannehill or Jimmy G? Me personally, I'd rather have Tannehill. I'd rather have Tannehill because I know Tannehill's not afraid to push the ball downfield. When he had A.J. Brown, when he had Julio Jones, when he had Corey Davis, when he had the pieces, Tannehill's not afraid to push the ball down the field. Jimmy may be a tad bit more accurate than Tannehill, but I guarantee you, if you put Tannehill in this system with Kyle Shanahan, as open as wide receivers are, I think it would be really hard for Ryan Tannehill to miss those guys. So he may not be threading the needle on and like throwing absolute dimes between 2 defenders, but with how guys are open in Kyle's scheme, I don't think he would miss guys. I don't think he would underthrow guys. If you ask me personally, I'd rather have Tannehill. And Tannehill's not a statue. Tannehill has more athleticism to where he's not a mobile quarterback or a running quarterback. You're not going to put him in the Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson class of quarterbacks. But if he needs to escape the pocket and get extra yards or extend, the pocket a little bit to be able to make a deep downfield throw, he has the ability to do it. He's not happy feet. So if you ask me, I'd rather have Tannehill. Hurts is working his weapons, roll tide. Yes, he is. He looks good. He looks really good. We got my brother in here. Fair to God. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for jumping in, taking time. I know you at home with the fam, taking care of the little one. I hope she's feeling better with that cough, man. I actually, when you said it last night, I looked it up a little bit, and that seemed like something that is probably very, very, very uncomfortable for her. So prayers up to the little one, man. I really hope that she starts feeling better soon. What's up with Jimmy G supposedly having arm fatigue? Talib, don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started. Because I don't understand why nobody in the 49er content creation space is talking about this. I mean, we heard about it for weeks on end. Trey Lance arm fatigue. Trey Lance arm fatigue. Oh, my goodness. He's a 22-year-old kid. He's supposed to have this big, strong arm. What do you mean he's having arm fatigue? And one of the first excuses Jimmy G throws out there after that debacle on Sunday night is, a little rusty, didn't have the playbook, got to get familiar with these guys, had a little bit of arm fatigue because, I was throwing a lot. You threw 29 times, my G. Josh Allen threw the ball 63 times, and we're going to get to that Bills game in a minute. Josh Allen threw the ball 63 times. You think he's complaining about arm fatigue right now? Listen, y'all, don't get me started. Too many hair comb strokes at Talib. That's why he got arm fatigue. It ain't throwing the football. It's because he doing the comb over and trying to make sure his tie straight because he hasn't been throwing much. Shout out to my brother Troy. I see you. I see you too. This man is my connect. I got some new hats, some fitteds, and some snapbacks from a place that I hadn't known about until my brother Troy came through. Shout out to Troy. Raphael says Purdy coming for that QB1 spot. Listen, I don't know. On one hand, I could see it. If the relationship between Kyle and Jimmy is as fractured as we say it might be, and with this coming out with Jimmy mumbling, your plays suck, and the rift between them, Jimmy not wanting to be here, and then Kyle trying to get rid of him on multiple occasions. Maybe there's a rift. Maybe there's something that can be repaired there. So maybe I can see Kyle if Jimmy continues to struggle to go with Purdy. Now he might pull Jimmy and put Purdy in. I don't think he's going to go with Purdy as a full-time starter. Because then if Purdy struggles, then you got to go back to Jimmy, and then it's going to be a media crap show if that happens. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Jimmy don't take accountability for anything at all. No, he does not. Well, the only thing that's going to keep us in games this year is our all-world defense. Absolutely. That's the only, but I'm also worried about that too, Troy. I'm worried because I'm sure this defense is going to try, and they're definitely going to be able to play lights out all season. But the wear and tear of them being on the field for 30, 35, 38, 40 minutes a game, and having to put performances like that up every single week, I feel like they're going to get worn down. I feel like they're going to get worn down faster than they need to because they don't have an offense that is showing up equally as them. There's no reciprocity right now between the offense and the defense. And I think, yeah, I think in the coming weeks, against the Rams, I think we're going to, at home on Monday night, we're going to show up. We have some lesser opponents after that in the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons, albeit both of those are on the road. They're on the West Coast. We got to come from west to east and play, back-to-back East Coast games in Carolina and in Atlanta. I will be in Atlanta, by the way. So we got to be careful about that. But, for the next couple of games, sure, we could put up great performances as a defense. But if the offense isn't continuing to move the ball, extend drives, I feel like this defense is going to wear it down. And I don't want to see that with how well they're playing. Fair says the little one is feeling better, so that is always good to hear. Thank you for sharing that that report. That is good news that we definitely want to hear. Did I update this? Okay. Mose knows top 5. We're gonna give you these top 5. We're gonna get out here. I got 15 minutes, or the missus is gonna be mad at me. We're gonna start with the Lions and the Vikings. Really, really entertaining game. Detroit is 1-2. But just like I said, who did I say is 2-1, but don't feel like Chicago. Chicago is a 2-1 team that does not feel like a 2-1 team. On the flip side, Detroit is a 1-2 team that does not feel like a 1-2 team. Detroit is fighting. They are battling. And I made sure that I apologized to him last year, but I did apologize to head coach Dan Campbell because I laughed at his, introductory press conference. And a lot of people did. A lot of people poked fun at what he was saying and what he was talking about. How we're going to fight, we're going to scratch, we're going to claw. If we get knocked down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we biting at ankles and biting kneecaps and scraping. We're doing whatever we got to do to get back up. He really has instilled that mentality into this Lions team. And for the most part, they were on track to win this game. They got up early. Minnesota came back and tied it. At the end of the third, Detroit was up 10. And then Minnesota was able to claw and come back, put up 14 in the fourth, and ultimately win this game. But I like the way Detroit is playing football. They're running the ball well. Jared Goff is still Jared Goff, middle of the road quarterback, still making some mistakes. But he is doing enough to put his team in position to win. I do believe Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he got hurt a little bit in this game, but then he might have come back. So that would be a huge loss because he is really coming into his own. He's stepping into who he is as an NFL player, and right now he is the number one option on this offense at the receiver position. So again, I love the way this Detroit team is playing. I do think on the defensive side of the ball, that's where they can use some upgrades. I think Malcolm Rodriguez has been a welcome surprise as a rookie linebacker. Imani Oruwariye at corner is solid. Aiden Hutchinson is playing really well, but I think there are other pieces that they may be able to add, maybe another outside corner, although they do have Jeff Okudah, some more pass rushers on that defensive line, some upgraded play at the linebacker position. So this team isn't quite there yet, but they're playing really, really good football, and they don't feel like a 2-on-1 team. On the Vikings side, Kirk Cousins just showed you, his veteran nature. He was able to stay even keeled, keep a level playing field, and always know that his team was in it and able to win it. Defense stepped up and made some really, really good plays in that fourth quarter, allowed them to possess the ball a few more times. And Kirk put his team in position, made the right plays through the game-winning touchdown to KJ Osborne. So Vikings are 2-1. They look pretty solid. I want them to kind of ramp it up a little bit more. Defense can play a little bit better. Offense can play a little bit better. They were able to run the ball well, but did Dalvin Cook get injured this game too? Considered day to day. Yeah, so he did, get a little nicked up. So he's considered day-to-day. So the Vikings are one of those sneaky teams. If you underestimate them, they turn around and they play really, really well. Sometimes they can be a little bit of a disappointment. They aren't as consistent as they're supposed to be. But a solid win in a divisional matchup. And I'm supposed to be doing my banners. My apologies. I missed that one. Moving on. Packers and Bucks. Packers win this one 14-12. The Bucks defense stepped it up in the second half, shutting the Packers out. But the Tampa Bay offense just didn't have enough to put enough points on the board. They were able to get in the end zone, needed a 2-point conversion to tie it. Miscommunication between Tom Brady and his offensive lineman. Got the 5-yard delay of game penalty, and then wasn't able to convert the 2-point from the 7-yard line. What I know from this game, what I saw, two older quarterbacks, maybe they're on the decline. They were still efficient, but these are two quarterbacks that were hampered by lack of weapons. I think Aaron Rodgers is still trying to find who his go-to guys are. No Devontae Adams, so he's still trying to figure out from the receiver position, who can I trust, who can I go to, who can I lean on. Rookie Romeo Doubs had a pretty solid game, 8 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. But outside of that, no real go-to. I mean, Alan Lazard, 4 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets. But 4 for 45, that's not moving the needle much. Randall Cobb, on the back end of his career, is a slot security blanket, 2 for 57. And then really nothing of significance from anybody else. So I think he's struggling to find who his go-tos are, like who can he trust in clutch time, and it's showing in their lack of productivity and being able to put up points. Conversely, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side, I feel like it's the same way for Tom Brady. It may not be always like this because his guys are nicked up, dinged up, and one was suspended. So I feel like this game would be a little bit different had Mike Evans been playing, especially for the fact that Jair Alexander wasn't playing. So, you had the Packers' best corner, but also the Bucs' best wide receiver not playing in this game. Brady was able to find chemistry with Russell Gage, 12 catches, 87 yards, 1 touchdown. I feel like that was forced. Russell was able to get open and make those catches. He had 13 targets, so he only didn't catch one of them. I don't know if that was a drop or an incomplete pass by Brady, but he was able to find rhythm there. Really not able to find rhythm anywhere else. I mean, he was playing with Russell Gage, Rashad Perryman, Jalen Darden, Cole Beasley, and Scotty Miller. Like, he's missing Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Julio Jones. Like, that kind of outlined their struggles. Only able to put up 3 in the first, 3 in the third, and then the late touchdown in the fourth, but not able to get the 2-point conversion. So I call this the old man bowl. Rodgers was able to come out on top in this one. So I would look forward to seeing this matchup again once Aaron Rodgers has time to figure out, his receiving core situation and really kind of iron that out. And then with Tom Brady having his whole complement of weaponry on the outside as well, I would love to see this again in a playoff atmosphere, with better pieces. Moving on, let's get to some of these upsets. Chiefs and Colts. Chiefs played pretty solid football. Now, I don't know if it was because it's their first home game. Their first 2 games were on the road. Didn't go how they wanted. 1 tie, 1 loss. They were at 0-1-1. So they're coming home, finally playing on their home field, finally in front of their home fans. And maybe that just sparked something in them. I talked to my cousin. Shout out to my cousin Terrence, who is our resident Chiefs fan here in the in Mose Nose country. He said I kept my mouth quiet all week because he said something in my spirit told me that this was a trap game. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what he told me. He said This is a trap game. He felt like this could be a trap game. And it seems like it was. Now, Kansas City, for the most part, had this game pretty much in hand. It was locked up. I mean, at halftime, it was 14-10. They had a 4-point lead at the end of the third. It was 17-13. So, they had a 4-point lead, which is not a comfortable lead by any stretch of the imagination, but they had a lead. And defense couldn't get a stop in the fourth quarter when they needed it. And Matt Ryan, the wily veteran, was able to find ways to make plays and get it done. I think the Chiefs will be fine. I think, again, early in the season, a blip. This is an anomaly. Normally, this wouldn't happen. If you allow these teams to play 10 out of 10 times, I feel like the Chiefs win 9 of them. I will say, the games do get heated. I wonder if there is more to it than that single interaction between Patrick Mahomes and offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy at the end of the half. I think it just shows the mentality of a Patrick Mahomes where he said, listen, we still got time on the clock. Let's go down and at least try to get 3. And now it looks like Patrick Mahomes was right, because if they are not hesitant and they're not willing to concede and just go into the half, if they try to go down and get 3, well, then this game is tied 20-20. It goes to overtime. Again, all of this is hindsight, but Patrick was saying, let's be aggressive. Let's at least go down and try to get 3 before the half, because that could swing momentum and change, or that just gives us 3 more points. There's a whole lot of implications of trying to go get more points and what that does for your team. And I think Patrick in that moment had that aggressiveness to say, this is what we should be doing. I don't understand why you don't want to go. And I'm frustrated in the heat of this battle where we should technically be blowing this team out, that we're only going into halftime up 4 points when we could try to go down and get 3. Maybe we get more than that, but we can at least get 3. So I wonder if there's more to it than just that heated exchange in that moment. We'll have to see. But I side with Patrick Mahomes. I side with being aggressive. And if you have somebody of Patrick Mahomes' status and stature and caliber in this league, you trust him with that. You trust him with that until he shows you that you can't trust him. And everything that he showed last year in that game against the Bills, he only needs 13 seconds. So I think they definitely had more than enough time to try to go get 3. So I side with Patrick on that one. Another upset. What is going on in Jacksonville? I can tell you what's going on in Jacksonville. They finally have a competent head coach. Doug Peterson. Now, the Eagles are doing great. Nick Sirianni is doing a fabulous job in Philadelphia. Doug Peterson was not the problem in Philly. He wasn't. He won you a Super Bowl. Doug Peterson was not the problem in Philly. That's all I can say. So he has come in, and with his pedigree as a Super Bowl winning head coach, with his pedigree as a former player in the NFL, he has come in and he has instilled a culture and an identity with this Jacksonville Jaguars team. Enough for them to go on the road in Los Angeles. And even if Justin Herbert wasn't 100%, Justin Herbert don't also play defense. Justin Herbert is on the offensive side of the ball. This game was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then Jacksonville flipped the switch and put up 16 in the second quarter. And it's not like the Chargers didn't score anything. They got a touchdown on the board. They went in the half 16-7. Still down 9, but they put something on the board. So it was still a semi-close game. But I don't know why the Chargers defense didn't show up. I do understand that we have an injury to Joey Bosa. He sustained a groin injury. They say he's day-to-day or week-to-week. But knowing, especially from experience with Nick, knowing the athleticism that Joey plays with, the bend and the flexibility coming off the edge, If I'm on the Chargers brass, I'm not rushing him back into action, especially now that we have Khalil Mack on the other side. We've been used to having one pass rusher for so long. We can go to it and kind of figure out a way around it, for a couple of games. I wouldn't rush Joey back, but I don't think the loss of Joey completely stopped this defense from figuring out how to play defense. I think they played down to their opponent, and that bit them in the butt. I think, for Jacksonville, they come in really playing with house money. This is not a team that they're supposed to beat, especially on the road. All the hype around Justin Herbert, all the hype around the offseason additions of Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson and all the other pieces that they already have in the building, the Joey Bosa's, the Derwin James, the Asante Samuel Jr.'s. They are not supposed to beat this team. And they came in with house money, and that's why they say any given Sunday. So I love what Doug Peterson is doing in Jacksonville. He's allowing Trevor Lawrence to be the type of quarterback Trevor can be. 28 of 39, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, didn't take any sacks. He was able to spread the ball around. Oh, I done got myself off the screen. Okay, here we go. He was able to spread the ball around to all his different receivers. Zay Jones, 10 for 85. Christian Kirk, 6 for 72. Marvin Jones, 4 for 33. Each of those guys had a touchdown. So he got it to his top guys. James Robinson running the rock really well. Travis Etienne doing it in the running in the pass game. Defense playing solid football. I like what's going on in Jacksonville right now. I like what Doug Peterson is bringing into the fold there. And then lastly, final game in my top 5, Bills, Dolphins. What a game. This was back and forth, 7-7 after the first, 14-14 at half. Buffalo put up 3 in the third. They got a safety in the fourth. We had a butt punt. Like, we had a booty punt in this game. Like, this game was absolutely entertaining. We know that the Buffalo Bills are a good team, but I think we now know that Miami is not a team to mess around with. And I think what they learned from their week 2 matchup against the Ravens is we're able to battle. We're able to fight. We're able to stay in these games and get back in these games. Let's not put ourselves in such a hole where we have to come back from 21 points every week. And they came out hot. They came out with a solid game plan. And if you look at the numbers, just looking at the numbers, it doesn't look like they were supposed to do what they did. Because Tua was 13 of 18 for 186 yards and a touchdown. He didn't throw an interception, though. Running the football total as a team, they had 17 carries for 41 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you told me that Tua threw 13 of 18 for 186 and a touchdown, and that they had 17 carries for 41 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Buffalo Bills, I would still tell you that they didn't win. Because 17 for 41 means you're not running the ball well, which means you're not extending drives and you're not controlling time of possession. Actually, let me look at the team stats real quick. Buffalo had the ball for 40 minutes and 40 seconds. Miami only possessed the ball for 19 minutes and 20 seconds. You mean to tell me that your quarterback is 13 of 18 for 186 and 1. Your running backs together have 17 carries for 41 and 2 touchdowns. And you only possess the ball for less than 20 minutes and you still won that game and beat the Buffalo Bills, who everybody right now, at least early in the season, is crowning as a Super Bowl favorite. It's hard to believe, but it happened. And Josh Allen threw for 42. He was 42 of 63 for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this team didn't win. So that lets you know that you can play defense in this league. And as long as you have competent play calling and a quarterback who can be efficient with what he's given, you can still win the game. For all intents and purposes, statistically, outside of the touchdown factor, statistically, the Dolphins had a worse game than the 49ers did. Statistically, in the air and on the ground. Listen, this Miami team was legit. Buffalo was going to be okay. They only lost this game by 2. They had an opportunity to go down and get points. They weren't able to manage the clock properly. Kind of some things got mixed up and screwed around. They weren't able to, get try for a last second field goal to see if they could win this 22-21. But they were there. They had their opportunities. Just the clock ran out. Buffalo's going to be fine. I can't wait to see these teams play again. Actually, let me check the schedule because depending on when, it may be an unfair event because I know that. Well, I mean, they were playing in Miami and apparently it was hot. If you look at all of the Florida games, I know the Packers and the Bucks game was a little wild. I know this game, it was hot. Teams huffing and puffing. Got to get water. Got to get Gatorade, all type of stuff to stay hydrated. When do they play again? Oh, they play December 18th, and that's in Buffalo. So it's going to be cold. Okay, so Miami won the hot game. Let's see if the cold gives Buffalo an advantage in December. But I'm excited to see this matchup in the AFC East. This would be one of those matchups where I'd love to see it a third time. I'd love to see it a third time. They play twice in the regular season as division opponents. I'd love to see this matchup again in the playoffs, in a tournament where it's win or go home. Love to see this matchup again. Miami's real. Of course, they're not going to go undefeated. They're going to hit some stumbling blocks. They're going to find teams that, figure them out and play them just a little bit differently and do some things that, they're not prepared for. But trust me, Miami is legit. Again, like I said, Buffalo will be fine. And that's going to wrap it up, man. That is going to do it for the Week 3 recap. I need the NFL to figure itself out and to be a little bit more predictable to help my picks. But if it wants to continue to have this parity and to have upsets every week and teams really battling and fighting to get W's early in the season, that's great too because it allows for great content. I think we got one more new comment. Mose, the way this offense is going in college coaching, what's your updated season record? Oh, Troy. What is my updated season record? Okay, at the beginning of the season, I gave us a high-low. I went with the high just because I thought once Trey found his groove, we might be unstoppable. I gave us a high of 12-5, and my low was 10-7. I still think we can win 10 games. If we beat the Seahawks, I mean, we already got one win against the Seahawks. So if we beat the Seahawks 2, Panthers 3, Falcons 4, Saints 5, Seahawks again 6, Commanders 7, Raiders 8. I mean, if we beat the Cardinals twice, that's 9-10. Do we have a shot to beat the Buccaneers at home? Maybe. Do we have a shot to beat the Dolphins at home? Maybe. Chargers at home? Maybe. Chiefs at home? Maybe. So, I mean, that's not even considering, you know, are we going to lose to the Rams twice? I don't think so. So, what did I say? Seahawks is 1. So, Panthers 2. Falcons 3. Cardinals twice. That's the Bucks game might be moved to a home. It's already a home game for us. Right now, it's a home game for. I hope they don't make that an away game. Right now, it's already a home game for us, and we got 3 in a row at home. We got Saints, Dolphins, and Bucks at home. Shout out to my cousin Sid in the building, still rocking with me. So yeah, I gave us a high of 12-5, a low of 10-7. With the way he's coaching and the way Jimmy's playing right now, I'll switch from my high to my low. I still think we have a possibility of winning 10 games this year. Will 10 games be enough to get us into the playoffs? I'm hoping so with that, seventh with that 7th spot in the wild card, that extra wild card spot. I still think we can get in with 10-7. And then listen, maybe we do find our stride, and maybe we are able to beat the Dolphins, or maybe we are able to beat the Buccaneers at home. So maybe we are able to beat the Chargers, with the way that they just played against Jacksonville. Maybe we do have an opportunity to pick up those wins, especially at home. Maybe Chiefs week for us, it's the following year after we lost the Super Bowl was a revenge tour. Well, maybe this is a revenge game, and we keep that quiet. We keep that in house. Maybe that's a revenge game for us. But I still think we can win double digit games. So I'm gonna go 10-7. I'm gonna go with my low end, and maybe we can squeak out an extra 1 or 2 by finding a way to beat some of these elite teams, because we're going to have to do that. And if we can do that in a season and prove to ourselves that we can beat elite teams, then that only bodes well for us when it comes to the playoffs, because we already have the experience. We've already been there, done that. We are a seasoned playoff team with this roster and this coaching staff. But I think we need to see it in a regular season. We need to have, that recency data that says, no, we're not just beating the bad teams on our schedule. We're also able to beat the good teams on our schedule too. So hopefully we can kind of squeak that out. We need to get Trent Williams back. We get Elijah Mitchell back. We getting Jimmy Ward back soon. Looks like Verrett is slated to come back if he can provide something. So I think in that middle stretch of the season towards the latter end, we're getting guys back. We're getting them healthy. If we can keep the rest of our guys healthy, we always have a shot. We're a good team. We're well coached. Defense is like you said earlier, world class, all world. We'll be all right. I think we'll still get double digit wins. Shout out last comment in the building. My sis Panama Queen, what's going on with you? Not last. Oh, yep, still last comment. I think we can beat the Chargers. They have injury issues. Yeah, I think the Chargers is a game that we have an opportunity to really, really get a win. Now that is later on in the season, so that's towards the middle. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's week 10. So after our away game at the Rams on October 30th, we have our bye week, and then we play the Chargers on Sunday Night Football on November 13th. So maybe by that time they get some pieces back, but we'll be coming off a bye, so we'll be getting pieces back. We'll be well rested and healthy. So I think that would be a huge win for us if we can beat the Chargers at home, and then coming off a bye, beating the Chargers at home, and then going into that stretch where we got the Cardinals, the Saints, Seahawks, Commanders, Raiders, Cardinals again. If we can find a way to beat either the Dolphins or the Buccaneers, or maybe both of them, then I think the rest of the season be smooth sailing, and we can take it into the playoffs and really do some major things. All right, I'm 15 minutes over. Hopefully I don't get yelled at by the missus downstairs. I love and appreciate y'all. I will be back with you on Thursday, give you my fantasy recap. preview some of the matchups. Also be posting my weekly picks on TikTok. So stay tuned, tap in with Mose. Catch y'all on Thursday. Love and appreciate y'all. Peace.